Okay guys, we just kind of messed around with that a little bit. You know, where I had the students go in and just say right here on record, you know, go into the body of the thing. Don't do it inside of you can't do it inside of the little video. But minimize the video, go back into the thing and just get on a word. And then just push. You should be in hyperkey, so it's going to be big, pressed, shows that you're in hyperkeys. You're right here, press N. Now it goes depressed, insert INS, and a small cursor. And I had them type first, F-I-R-S-T, right here where record is, F-I-R-S-T. Don't space over. Type F-I-R-S-T, enter, takes you back into hyperkeys, enter, deletes record, and just leaves first right there. You're like, you know what? I didn't want that. No big deal. Press Z, brings back first record together. Z again, takes it back to record. Okay? Pretty cool. Mess around with that a little bit because that's actually a pretty cool thing.
Type over tracking will remember the replacements you've been making and...
Okay, so like I told you how to do it right there with records. Say you did it right here with pages. And you typed in chart for pages. Well, now it remembered what you did. Well, the last time, so say you push in right here to insert, now it's going to give you the option of chart. So it's like, you know what? Say you're right here, you know what? You don't have to push in anymore because now it's an option. Last time you were right here on pages, you put chart in there. So it remembered what you did. Okay? So say every time you wrote pages, you needed it to say chart. It's like, God, no, now I'm going to have to go through and change it every time, type in chart every time. No, you don't. Because it remembers what you did the last time. So say pages needs to be there. Okay, no big deal. Well, you know what? Now I need it to say chart every time. No big deal. It's going to give you that option every time because you did a type over track. Okay? Write that down. Type over track. And that's what it did. It tracks what you typed over to replace the last thing. Okay?
Automagic will incorporate this into its choices that it offers. A good way to learn how to use hyperkeys is to install and play lessons of the efficient editing tutorial. There are about 15 one-class lessons which give you basic information, as well as a set of Tell Me More chapters that offer more detail. A separate visualizer shows you how to use the efficient editing tutorial.
So you can go online and kind of do these separate individual tutorial things, okay? But that's all it was saying right there. You just watch the thing, which is what we were doing. So no big deal. So any questions about hyperkeys that we just went over? No?
I think it's just a matter of practicing it.
And that's what it is, guys. It's absolutely, positively going through there and messing around with it. Go in there, practice with it, and don't freak out if it gets messed up or whatever. I mean, and do it on stuff like when you're practicing. Oh, you know what? I want to change this into all caps. Or I want to change this into caps, or I want to delete that word, or delete that sentence. What was delete the word? I mean, delete the line. Control Y. And the oops. Delete a word. D. Insert. N. Mark. Capitalize. A. Move up, down, Right,
No.
left,
J.
very good. Okay, and the more you mess around with it, I mean, it's just going to become second nature after that. So that's, you just have to mess around with it. We'll do this one real quick. It's kind of short and it's not.
Let's see how you can use either the mouse or keyboard commands for just about any function within Total Eclipse. The left mouse button is typically used to click or select, while the right mouse button opens a context menu. You may be clicking on a toolbar icon, or a menu column, or simply clicking to position your cursor.
Guys, this is basic stuff. Y'all know this? I mean, anytime you want to put the cursor right here, what are you going to do? With the arrow on there, left click. Duh.
I didn't know they were not.
And I may have not have explained that correctly. Or y'all are just tired. I don't know which. But I mean, it's basic stuff. If you've ever been on the computer, that's what this thing is going through. So that's all, you know, they're trying to say. It's not, they're not building a bomb right here or a rocket. You know, this is stuff that, I mean, is really simple, okay? But they're just going through it, so just in case you don't know how to use the computer, then, you know, when you right click, it's gonna open up a totally different set of things. When you left click, it's just kind of, that's the more used command. Does that make sense?
Right clicking will open a context menu, which will vary according to where your cursor is placed. However, there's no need to constantly reach for the mouse. For instance, you can press F10 or just press the Alt key and release to access the menu bar, H for help. Every Eclipse menu or dialog has hotkeys as an alternative to using the mouse. But if there's any place where you can type in a dialog, then Windows requires you to press the Alt key in order to use the underlined letter as a hotkey. Hotkeys are underlined letters on menus or dialogues, but Eclipse also encourages you to use speed keys, which bypass the menus entirely. For instance, Alt-T to translate and Shift-Alt-T to stop translation. And finally, there are Eclipse hyperkeys, which are even more efficient than using a mouse or speed keys. But this is the subject of a separate presentation.
Any questions about that? Pretty self-explanatory stuff. That's why I didn't, you know, really stop it and, you know, explain a whole lot. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, so no big deal.
Eclipse comes with an extensive set of speed keys and hyperkeys, which are designed for editing efficiency. You can change any of these if you like. Let's see how. Settings, Edit, Keyboard. If hyperkeys are on, you'll first be shown the list of commands that only work when hyperkeys are turned on. These are arranged alphabetically, and capital letters are shown as Shift, modifying a key.
They're going through and just telling you that if you want to modify some of the commands, this is how you do it. Absolutely, positively wouldn't advise on doing that. But you can. You can do whatever you want. I mean, you want to do it and change it, this is the way you do it. Okay?
That's just a list of the commands, like when you drop down the menus on production, move, edit, block, format.
No, I mean like on Shift J, you know, to move left, right, left, you can do all of those. You can change any of the hyperkey, any of them.
But what about when it's in standard?
When it's in standard, yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be all of that stuff,
Okay.
yeah. Okay?
So we can make our own hyperkeys, like if I wanted Jay to move right for whatever reason?
If you wanted Jay to do a circle, I guess you probably could, I don't know. Or go up 3 lines, you know, or whatever, yeah, I mean, you can make it do whatever you want. I wouldn't suggest it, because once you start messing around with that in your settings, it's gonna change all kinds of stuff, okay? And it's gonna change it. You know, and then to get back, you know, you're gonna have to call probably support, unless you can remember, you know, what you changed and, you know, what you put in there, okay? So be real careful with that, but if you wanna change it, you can. And this is what they're
We'll
saying.
first be shown the list of commands that only work when hyperkeys are turned on. These are arranged alphabetically, and capital letters are shown as shift, modifying a key. You can assign a function to any key on the keyboard, possibly modified by the control, are shown as shift, modifying a key. You can assign a function to any key on the keyboard, possibly modified by the control, shift, or alt keys. If there's any standard or hyperkey command that you'd like to delete, just select it and press delete. You can also modify the function of any key or add an entirely new function. It can be added as one that only works when hyperkeys are active, or one that works all the time. Here I'll place my cursor in the keystroke field and press F12. The system will warn you if you try to use a key that's already assigned to a different command. So you should find that Eclipse lets you edit your keyboard so that it's set up just the way you like.
Get it?
Don't mess with it.
I didn't want to pay attention because I didn't want to try to.
Yeah.
Atta girl. So don't pay attention right there was the crux of what we got there. Okay, and these are just kind of some of the things that you're going to be able to do. These are the commands in the hyperkeys, okay? So it tells you A is capital, capital A is all caps, okay? And it just, by the toggle, it means it's going to take it back and forth. So if it's in a capital letter and you push the A, then it's going to bring it down to a small one. If it's small and you want a capital letter, then it's going to cap it, okay? So that just tells you what it does. B, block functions, conflicts, delete a word, empty fill in blank. You know, and that's, we'll get to that later. Global, mark, insert, and replace. That's where it takes hyperkeys off. But you'll notice that the capital letter does a totally different thing. So this is another good one to print and go through, okay? And it'll take you all the way to I don't know why it doesn't give you.
We can find all these on the list under the Eclipse documents, right? That list that you had up earlier?
Yeah,
That's the
but this is
chart.
kind of a shortcut too.
Okay.
So I print both of them, and if you can, laminate both of them. Because this is just kind of a shortcut. The only one that it doesn't have is Z, which is the oops key, okay? But, I mean, you should know that one already.
What is budding in? Is that another lesson?
Yeah, what is that?
Where's that? Where you see
B, the capital B.
Because I tried it and now I can't get out of this little box.
You can't get out.
I wanted to know what budding was, so I did. And now it doesn't connect. I don't want to select it.
Oh, it's a block. Just kidding.
But what does it do?
It's just going to allow you to do different functions that you're probably not going to need, especially in school. Let's see if it comes out. So you're going to be able to, split a file, insert clipboard contents, include contents of another file, transfer selection of a clipboard. I don't know that I've ever used any of that stuff, but I mean, if you want to go through, these are the commands to do it. So I wouldn't worry about that one too much. Okay. I think we're going to wait till next week to talk about this, and that's what we just did. What was your name again? What was your name? Jacqueline. Jacqueline had asked me about, she was in the middle of a text, and we're kind of going to go over this next week, and that's what this is insert and overtime. Guys, when we do something this week, I want you to use this stuff this week. Until we come back next Monday, I want you to use this stuff that we just learned. That's the whole point of not overwhelming you guys with giving you too much information. Okay? So I try to keep the class pretty concise on what I think you need for that week. Okay? And I do that for a reason, so that you can use the material that we're using that week. And that's the whole point. So your homework every week is to use this stuff that week. Okay? This is going to be a big week because I just gave you all of the hyperkeys. So go through there and mess with it. Like that butting in, mess with it a little bit. If you want to, it's not going to mess anything up. So mess with those keys a little bit just to see what they do, and you're going to get more familiarized by using it. Okay, if we just talk about it in class and you never use it, you're not going to remember it. The more you use it, the more you're going to remember it. Okay, so that's the point of not overwhelming you too much. And Jacqueline was having a problem, like she would put her cursor here on Word, then press N, and it would start typing over the word, not moving the word over. So it was over typing or typing over, which is overtype. It was typing over the word that she was put on, that she wanted to replace or whatever. Okay? And the way that you do that, and we'll talk about it next week, is by pressing insert. So if that's what it's doing and you don't want it to do it, then press insert, which is up on your, by your numbers, I believe. And then just press insert, and it's going to say insert right here. If it has an OVR, then you're in overtype. Okay? All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.